The only good thing that Joe Biden has done is pick someone more incompetent than him as his vice presidential running mate, because almost any other vice president, people would be aggressively arguing, hey, let's put this vice president in instead of Biden. Certainly after the midterms when the Democrats are going to get shellacked. But Kamala Harris has been so uncomfortably awkward that she is single-handedly managing to, at some level, make Biden seem not as bad. That's particularly the case because you could at least say with Biden, he's 78 years old. He's maybe 79 now, whatever the heck he is. He's rapidly deteriorating mentally, and yet he's still not as awkward as Kamala Harris is in her public events. We didn't play this for you. I think this went viral on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Kamala Harris, here she is laughing during a press conference in Poland as they talk about the situation in Ukraine.
I'm wondering what the United States is going to do more specifically to set up a permanent infrastructure. And relatedly, is the United States willing to make a specific allocation for Ukrainian refugees? And for President Duda, I wanted to know if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, I can first.
I mean,
Weird.
It's what's going on there is they asked two questions, and then there's a couple of other clips where she's also super awkward. They didn't know who was going to talk first, which can be an issue if you're doing a press conference, and I don't know that that's the reaction that you would expect to see in a situation like that. And so she's been criticized for this, Buck. The View, which is the dumbest show on television, defending potentially the dumbest politician in America, feels like a perfect fit. Here's The View saying, hey, everybody who is criticizing Kamala Harris is doing it based on racism and misogyny. Listen.
People are talking about it. I personally think if she was a guy, they would never say it because they also made fun of Hillary's laugh. Mm-hmm. But I don't see them making fun of Pence's laugh or any of the other guys.
Did he laugh?
Well, they don't laugh very much.
I don't know that it's about her laughing, because I agree. I think that would be very inappropriate and that's something that they do to women. I think that she has gone on multiple occasions a little bit underprepared with some of the questions that she's been asked.
What it is that they constantly question the qualifications of black women, and that's why people are saying that she's unprepared. And
I disagree. I think she's
You can disagree, but that's the truth of it. And so this is based in racism. This is based in misogyny.
I mean, no, it's actually based in Kamala Harris didn't even get, 1% of the Democrat primary
she dropped out
electorate
before they voted.
I mean, Kamala Harris was not someone that Democrats were going. So I guess the Democrats must all be so racist and sexist because they were not supporting her at the national level for a job like this. She was picked by Joe Biden because Joe Biden is a very old white guy, and they were trying to make sure there was some identity politics component of the Biden regime. So, I mean, the same, Joe Biden is somebody who comes out and actually says, I will only pick somebody with the following gender, skin color, etc. He makes this stuff explicit, so we can speak about it as though he has made it explicit because he does say this stuff out loud. And Kamala Harris has done a bad job in every instance which she is on the really global stage, but you could say the national stage even more so. She comes out looking like she is unprepared. And it is, in fact, possible that we're just analyzing what Kamala Harris is doing in the job and that just crying sexism and racism is not an effective tactic for the Democrats here. I mean, Clay, look at what we say about Joe Biden. I mean, we make fun of Joe Biden all the time. These are politicians. And it just seems pathetic and whiny to fall back on the, it's because she's a woman. It's because she's a minority. Give it a rest. We make fun of Biden 10 times as much as we do Kamala.
No doubt. And also, it's the height of hypocrisy to blame racism and sexism for the way that Kamala is treated when, to a large extent, she got the job of vice president based on her race and her sex, right? I mean, you got the job based on your race and sex. So it's certainly sex at minimum because Kamala was selected when Joe Biden said he's going to pick a woman for his vice president. And the fact that he also picked a minority woman is arguably necessary given, like you said, Buck, his old whiteness and the fact that he's trying to be the diverse and inclusive. And let me say this too, Buck. You talked about us making fun of Joe Biden. Does no one remember how much Dan Quayle got made fun of? Dan Quayle is the whitest dude vice president imaginable. He got destroyed for 4 years, from 1988 to 1992. No vice president has ever gotten ridiculed as much as Dan Quayle did, and it was for many of the same reasons, fair or foul. There was the idea that he was callow, not particularly prepared, didn't deserve that job. And again, I'm not saying this is an accurate criticism of Dan Quayle. I don't know him personally, but I am saying that was the perception for Dan Quayle, which is almost identical to the perception that exists for Kamala.
People also get tired, I think, of being told, for example, well, Kamala is a better pick for this role than other people because of her gender and because of her race. So these are assets. And then a lot of people go, okay, and so the Democrats, et cetera, will vote this person to office. And then it's, well, if you criticize this person, it's because you disapprove of those things. They say, what is this? I mean, the American people, or in this case, the Democrats, vote for somebody, and we're supposed to believe that it's an asset for them to, in the diversity and inclusion sense, have these attributes, and then also immediately fall back on the moment there's criticism, oh, that's sexist or that's racist. Everybody thinks Kamala hasn't been doing a good job. Give me a break. But it's The View. It is the dumbest political show. Influential, though, Clay. If you are a semi-literate person staying at home who doesn't actually understand anything about politics, you may watch The View and think that this is what you're supposed to believe is the reality of America and the world around you.
I think that's unfortunately true for a large number of, especially women. Obviously, this is being programmed towards women who are staying at home during the day. I'll also point this out, Buck. This is why if Biden doesn't run, it's going to be racist and sexist of the Democrat Party if they don't pick Kamala Harris as their nominee. This is going to be the underlying, it's certainly the subtext. It may be the text of her campaign. I'm the next person up. I was vice president. It's racist and sexist if the Democrats try to pick anybody else. That's the identity politics angle that I think they may have painted themselves into a corner on having to pick her. That's why I think Hillary might try to angle her way in, because she can at least cancel out the sexist part, although she'll probably get called a racist.
They also want to throw our friend Tucker in the Biden gulag.
We got to play that when we come back.
I mean, The View does not believe in free speech at all.
Yes.
And I don't mean they say that you shouldn't be able to say things. I mean they want the government to go after you for Putin propaganda. I also think, Clay, part of this is that the true believer Democrats were broken with Russia collusion, even before they were further broken with Fauciism and the double masking outside alone stuff. And now they can't think straight about Russia. Somehow Russia, when Biden is president, is still a referendum on Trump winning in 2016. They haven't been able to figure this stuff out.
Robert Mueller was their first Saint Fauci, right?
Yes.
It was Saint Robert Mueller is going to deliver the country.
I think
from
Comey,
evil.
actually, but yeah.
Well, Comey may have been first, and then eventually
Yeah.
Robert Mueller, the investigation. And when that details came out that Rachel Maddow, remember, she was spinning a huge web of conspiracies associated with Russia. And then after years of that argument, suddenly they had nothing. They were left empty-handed.
Think about this. Rachel Maddow was by far the biggest show at MSNBC for the 3 years pre-COVID, right, of the Trump presidency. Essentially the entire narrative thread of the show was a lie and insane.
Yes.
And now she's paid even more money.
$30 million a year, and she's not even working. She's getting to sit out now.
This is what I was going to tell people all along. I had to correct a lot of people on the right. The Russia collusion hoax, unfortunately, in many ways worked. It didn't get everything that it wanted, but it slowed down the Trump presidency. It created all kinds of legal harassment and hurdles. And the worst people in the Democrat corporate media elevated themselves, became richer, more influential. The whole thing, it was an absolute catastrophe, a cacophony of lies.
What about Jen Psaki still was talking in her ridiculous briefing of the TikTok stars? Did you see she said 2016 Russia stole the election in her briefing of the
No,
TikTok?
but
Which, it's ridiculous in and of itself, but to be still spreading that is perfection.